This is the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Ever wish you could re-listen to your favorite interview or segment? Do you enjoy hearing older shows for the first time in years? Then the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less is just what you need. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Yes, indeed, it is just what you need, ladies and gentlemen. I'm John Solberg. I am your host for the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. And this show is always brought to you by The Butcher Shop. Purveyors of highly sought after 100% Australian non-crossbred Wyvara 9 Plus briskets that are always handpicked just for you. The Butcher Shop has been retailing the finest meats for more than 15 years. Every week they're shipping out competition quality meats to many of the biggest teams in the competition scene across the nation. Simply put, teams who use the Butcher Shop win, and they win often. Even if you're not a competitor, you deserve the finer cuts. The Butcher Shop can ship you some of the finest prime, dry-aged Australian Wagyu and Japanese Wagyu steaks to people just like you and me who aspire to be the kings and queens of the backyard. They always got Berkshire, Compart Duroc, Allegiance Duroc, and Prairie Fresh all-natural pork in stock. And again, they're going to handpick it out just for you. So let's review. The best competition briskets, they got it. The best pork selection, they got it. Giving you better overall option to cook at home, they're going to do it. So you give the Butcher Shop a call today, 850-458-8782, 850-458-8782. You mention the BBQ Central Show, and they're going to give you 10% off your entire order each and every time. You can also go check them out on Facebook, facebook.com/The Butcher Shop. Shop is spelled S-H-O-P-P-E. The Butcher Shop, home of the 100% Australian non-crossbred Wyvara 9 Plus briskets that are always handpicked just for you. I don't know if you recall last week's show, but last week's best of was from a while back where Melissa Cookston called in to fill a hole in the show, and they talked about the Pitmaster host, Kevin Roberts. And Greg said, I wonder if John can find that Kevin Roberts show. But guess what?
All right, Central Lights, as we all know from the interview I did last week with John Marcus, BBQ Pitmasters is going with a complete overhaul on the format side this season, Season 2. And on top of the teams, there is a host to facilitate the events, and he happens to be my next guest. He's a very accomplished chef, very successful restaurateur. He's made several TV appearances and also does a college circuit tour as well. So let's go ahead and jump over to the hotline. Joining me now, new host of Pitmasters Season 2, it's Kevin Roberts. Kevin, how are you tonight, buddy?
Greg, and of course, I know nothing about barbecue.
Are you doing the preemptive strike?
Dude, let me tell you something. We filmed our first episode. I almost got killed by John and Myron Mixon already. I mean, geez, I give one option out of like 6 years of doing this. One option. You know what's so funny though? 6 years ago I did this, and I was talking about doing mustard on my ribs back in the day. No one was doing it back in the day.
Yeah.
And people would look at me like I'm insane. Now I go on like websites and stuff, and everybody's like doing almost like a wet rub with mustard. I'm like, oh, geez.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping in 5 to 6 years someone wants to boil a rib.
I don't know.
Yeah, I just got killed. I got killed last week on set.
All right, so let me just do this. Well, I have to ask this question because obviously I'm representing the fanatical barbecue fan base, and especially since most of that fan base was fans of how the format was of Season 1. But, the question obviously everybody wants to know is you go ahead, you do that segment on the Today Show Memorial Day, and you had mentioned obviously about the boiling of the ribs. I'm not so much a non-believer myself of the yellow mustard. Maybe some people might have thought you put a lot of yellow mustard on it, but certainly a lot of people, as you said, using yellow mustard as a rub adherent. The other thing that people seem to take issue with the fact that you said you could cook a rack of ribs in 40 minutes at like 225 degrees. So, I mean, you've kind of drawn the ire from some of the fanaticals. But, I mean, is it more of a thing where, look, lesson learned, you just keep moving, doing what you're doing? Or are some of you like, man, who the hell are you? Look what I'm doing.
No, dude, I am such a huge barbecue fan, right off the top. I first of all, I've never said I'm a barbecue master. I'm not entering these contests. Now, I've been to Memphis and May the last 5 years in a row. So I was there when Myron actually won, I think, 2007. I've actually judged some barbecue. I know, obviously, flavor profiles, tenderness, presentation. I know all that fun stuff. I actually did the Cleveland Barbecue Fest last year. I judged that with a few other people. So I am familiar with barbecue. I'm more of a fan than anything. But what happens is with these type of morning shows, especially like the Today Show, is you got to remember the recipe's going from me to my PR people who tweak it,
right,
who go to the Today Show. And the Today Show have their own stylist. She's actually a really cool chick. Then she tweaks it, says what we can and can't do. Then we have this crazy rehearsal where literally I'm not allowed to make my own fire on the Today Show. They have a fire person that basically lays down the law of what I can and can't do. So I'm like, indirect heat, direct heat. Of course, I'm always indirect heat type of guy. If you do remember the segment, I did say slow and low, which
yep.
I'm a big fan of.
Right.
But what happened it got lost in translation with the recipe. Yes, if you do boil your ribs, then the temperature at I think I said 210, 220 would be for that amount of time. But it got such lost in translation, and also too, remember the episode hook was quick shortcuts for making a memorial barbecue. So it's almost like I threw that out there just to kind of appease, And it's so funny because I didn't think in a million years, because actually boiling your ribs is a huge West Coast thing. And there's actually big rib restaurants that do that on the West Coast. So, unfortunately, I'm not from the barbecue meccas of the world. I'm actually, unfortunately, from Los Angeles, which thank God I escaped and, I moved down to San Diego. But, so it's totally my bad. But, there are people out there actually, surprisingly enough, boiling their ribs. Thank God I just have an option. I personally don't do it, but whatever.
Yeah, Kevin Roberts.
What do you think, Greg?
Yeah, Kevin Roberts joining us here is going to be he is the host of Season 2 of Barbecue Pitmasters. So here's my quick take, and the
Not
fact
after
is...
this interview.
Oh, no, absolutely you are. You can't deny.
Right after this.
Negative. I'm in good with John Marcus. You're okay, buddy.
No. You know what? John and Myron are great guys, and you know the judges on the show now, right? Warren Sapp and Art Smith.
Right.
So, it's actually going to be a pretty kick-ass show. It's going to be pretty cool, man. So even though you got Knucklehead Kevin on there, it's still going to be a pretty good show.
So here's my take on the boiling ribs. Is I've known, obviously, people that have boiled ribs get it done quicker. My mother-in-law is actually a fairly big believer in parboiling
is she still alive? You guys didn't kill her?
We haven't talked in like 10 years, but that's a different story for a different day.
Okay.
But I've always been told, especially by some of the more barbecue elite, that when you boil a rib, you're actually boiling out the fat, which to a lot of the barbecue people means boiling out the flavor. So I can certainly understand where if you're pressed on time or you want to do it quick, and it sounds like you have friends that are very short on time, very short on attention span, and want beer and food ASAFP, which I can certainly respect and appreciate. But to me, to put in the time and you do the low and slow, as you said, and it comes out a nice succulent smoky bone, which I'm sure, as you said, you've enjoyed at a bunch of different competitions and other events that you've been at.
Oh, that's the only way to do it, to get that nice, that pink smoke ring, I guess you guys call it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the golden rule, of course. But as I mentioned, my friends get angry at me, and that's, and you're absolutely right about that. It does boil out, it renders out the fat, boils out the fat. And that's actually a big West Coast thing too, is, kind of making a healthier option. I still want my rib, but I want kind of the healthier version of it. And so that's kind of where that kind of technique came in too. Or why they do it, I'm sure, on the West Coast. Obviously, slow and low, the longer the better, obviously. But as I said, if I get up at 10 o'clock, start watching the game, my buddies are over by noon. The game starts at 1. If the food's not out by 1, I'm getting just hell. I mean, so I'm like in this kind of quandary of like getting good food out quick, really. So that's why I don't barbecue for my friends anymore.
Yeah, there you go. And I think probably where the biggest downfall is the fact that if Kevin Roberts just would have came on as the food guy doing some quick munchies and that's it, I don't think any of this even becomes an issue. And the unfortunate fact, well, not unfortunate for you because you're the host, but unfortunately you're introduced as host of Barbecue Pitmasters. You turn around and do a barbecue segment, more or less, and then all these people that are fanatical about it see it and are like, "Oh my God, we can't believe it. What is this guy hosting?" Blah blah blah. But nonetheless, I mean, we can only beat that horse, and obviously you're manning up and saying what you're good at and what you're a fan of. And
absolutely,
I mean,
yeah. And as I said, I've already gotten beaten up by John and Myron, so it's like, just I can take it all now. So those two chased me around the set for about 4 hours.
Yeah, nice. Nothing like some coworkers trying to beat you up. But all right.
Yeah, first day on the job, I already want to get murdered. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So let's skate away from that for now. For the people that maybe aren't as familiar with Kevin Roberts, why don't you give us a little brief background about you and kind of what you're into aside from the TV hosting stuff?
Well, if you really want to know about Kevin Roberts, I encourage you to head over to the BBQCentralShow.com, click the link in today's show notes where you'll get this complete episode. I'm going to go check it out because I hope he actually has some history. And he didn't impress me in this interview, just saying. But my opinion, that and $5 will get you a small coffee somewhere in the world. Used to be like 30 cents. Where am I going here? I don't know. But I know I'm out of time. So until next time on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less, I'm your host, John Solberg. I look forward to talking to you again soon.